Okay, we are 7:01. I know we're waiting for a couple other commissioners, but they won't mind if we get started on approving this agenda. Welcome everyone to January 2025 kickoff meeting of ANC3D. The motion on the floor is to approve the agenda with the following amendments. After we approve the agenda, we are going to move into the election of officers and do the Transportation Committee Chairman election. Then under official actions, we are deleting the Field School Athletic BZA letter. They are going to be giving us a presentation instead. We are deleting the Sibley Memorial Hospital Behavioral Health Emergency Department. I'll give you an update on what's going on there. We are adding the Georgetown Campus Plan Shaw Field lights. We are deleting the ABCA license for Bang Pop. They are going to give us a presentation instead, and we will be voting on that next month. And we are deleting the 5010 V Street BZA. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Simkowitz seconds the motion. Discussion or any comments or questions? All those in favor to approve the agenda? Passes unanimously, which should be noted for the record that Commissioner Clone Roosevelt is not quite in the meeting yet. So I am going to hand the meeting over to our esteemed neighbor, Mr. Andrew Heimert, who has graciously offered to step in to run our elections. Mr. Heimert, you have the floor.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tricia, and thank you for your service as chair this past term. I guess now is the time where you all get to elect new officers, chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. I think we're supposed to start with nominations for the chair of ANC3D. So do I have any nominations?
Tricia? I would like to nominate Commissioner Horn for chairman.
So noted. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, I suggest we go to a vote. If commissioners could, by show of hands, vote. Well, if you're voting aye for Commissioner Horn to be the chair, please raise your hand. That's so indicate. I see 5 hands raised. Commissioner Horn, I assume you have not voted on yourself, your own nomination here?
Right. I'll abstain.
All right. So just for the record, Commissioner Horn has been voted 5-0 with 1 abstention as the chair of ANC3D. The next officer up is for vice chair. Do I have any nominations for a vice chair? Commissioner Elkins.
I'd like to nominate Tricia Duncan for vice chair.
So noted. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Seeing none, I will ask everyone to vote who is voting yes for Commissioner Duncan as vice chair to raise their hand.
I'm not proud.
I see 6 votes of the 6 present commissioners for Tricia Duncan as vice chair. So that should be noted by, I guess we'll have a secretary shortly, which is the next officer up for nomination. Any nominations for secretary of ANC3D? Commissioner Duncan.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Nowak as secretary.
Thank you. Any other nominations for secretary? Seeing none, I'll ask again for a vote by hand of all commissioners in favor of Commissioner Nowak for secretary of ANC3D. I see 6 yes votes for Commissioner Nowak as secretary of ANC3D and no votes or abstentions. I assume, by the way, Commissioner Roosevelt is not yet joined, correct? So we're still at 6. The final office for which I've been asked to take nominations and then conduct the vote is treasurer. Do we have any nominations for a treasurer? Commissioner Nowak.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Elkins for treasurer.
Thank you for that nomination. Any other nominations for treasurer or nominations for any other commissioner as treasurer? I also see no other nominations. So again, if you could all vote, for those voting in favor of Commissioner Elkins as treasurer, please raise your hand. I see 6 votes for Commissioner Elkins as treasurer. I see no votes or no one left to vote. So Commissioner Elkins, 6-0 for treasurer. And I'll congratulate all of our new officers and turn it over to the newly elected Commissioner Horn as chair. Thank you and good luck to Commission ANC3D.
Thank you, Mr. Heimer.
Thank you. We're going to do the Transportation Committee chair next. Is that the next order of business?
Correct.
I'd like to bring up that order of business and Commissioner Elkins.
Mr. Chairman, I've had the honor to serve as chairman of the Transportation Committee along with Derry Allen for the last several years, but I think it's time for me to step aside and to, although I will plan to continue as a member of the committee, to elect another chair, and I would like to nominate Tricia Duncan as the new chair of the Transportation Committee.
We need a second? No. The question is whether there's anyone else nominated. Is there another nomination? Hearing none, a vote on Tricia Duncan as the chair. All in favor? I see 6 unanimous votes. Congratulations. Let's move to the updates. Is Officer Macaulay here?
He is not. He has just texted me saying he's a hard time getting into the Zoom. So perhaps we could move on to the MOCR or Councilmember Freeman's office.
Is our MOCR here? Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Willie Moan Cox. I'm the Ward 3 liaison for the Mayor's Office for Community Relations and Services. I wanted to give just a quick update on the snow that the past couple of days, our MOCR team was driving around checking out any hot spots in the areas that haven't been shoveled or might need another pass. And we've been working with DPW to coordinate that so that side streets that need some extra attention get that. If anyone has any streets that public streets that need to be plowed again, I think at this point it should be okay. But if there are any, you can reach out to me. I can flag that for DPW so that we get those taken care of. Today I was going around to Ward 3 seniors who had signed up for the senior snow shoveling service. That's all done through volunteers. So any seniors who were on that list who didn't get it shoveled, I went ahead and flagged those up our chain as well. But again, if there's anyone that you've heard of that might need any assistance, reach out to me, please. And then we'll keep updates rolling out for Saturday because we're in for some more snow. So just like this past snowstorm, we'll be in touch with all of the commissioners to get out information about what MOCRs are doing and just for regular preparedness measures. So that's it. But thank you very much. And again, reach out to me anytime.
Very good. Thank you very much. Do we have a representative from Councilmember Freeman's office here today?
Yes, I am. Is my sound all right? You all hear me?
I see your sign. I don't see your picture.
Yeah, sorry. I'm having some problems with my camera, unfortunately.
All right.
But, yeah. It's also pretty light update week, but Councilmember Freeman first wanted to thank and congratulate all commissioners on the recent elections, and really wanted to emphasize that ANC commissioners really are the backbone of local self-government. Really appreciate working with you all on the many issues that pop up in Ward 3. We also wanted to highlight the upcoming workday in the ward on January 23rd. I will send out the flyers that Kevin, our office, has created. I think they should be ready by tomorrow. We are also on Blue Sky now, given the big shift of a lot of political personnel to Blue Sky. So Kevin will be sharing with all the ANCs in Ward 3 that information. And then finally, and most importantly, the fiscal year 26 budget priorities are a big talking point in the office right now. We're inviting residents of Ward 3 to come to the annual budget listening session, which is the community forum for Ward 3 residents to discuss priorities regarding the upcoming fiscal year. It's going to be on January 25th from 10 to 12, and we'll definitely send out that information as well to you all, as well as the link to register. And in the meantime, of course, feel free to start highlighting anything we should be focusing on for the upcoming fiscal year. And I think that's it on our side, actually.
Well, that's very good. Thank you so much. Officer McElwee, are you, I see you're on, but I don't see your picture. There you are.
Thank you, Commissioner Duncan, for helping me out here. I kind of got lost in the moment. Well, good afternoon or good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Tony McElwee. I am your traffic officer, as well as your 2nd District Community Outreach Liaison Officer. And I'm going to start off with the PSA 205 December crime report. I'm happy to say that our crime has dropped a little bit in the PSA for the last 30 days. We had 14 offenses. Out of those 14 offenses, one was a stolen auto, and we had 12 theft from autos and 1 general theft. The stolen auto occurred between December 24th and December 25th, Christmas night, from the 4000 block of Massachusetts Avenue. Stolen was a 2017 gray Dodge Challenger with DC tags, GU 4972. As of this meeting today, the vehicle has not been recovered. We had 12 theft from autos, and as everyone knows, your #1 crime in your community is theft from autos. We had, as I said, 12. 9 of the theft from autos involved either purses or wallets left in plain view inside the victim's vehicles. 8 of the 12 vehicles had their windows smashed out to gain entry. The other 4 vehicles were left unlocked. 5 of the targeted vehicles were in the area around the 4900 block of Mass Avenue, 49th and Van Ness, down through the 4200 block of 49th Street, or the 4200 block of 49th Street. So we have somebody targeting that area. The other area that was affected was actually on the other side of the PSA. I'm going to say like 3 miles away, but also on 49th Street. I don't know if there's any connection, but it was at 49th and V Street, in the area near the Palisades Library. We want to remind everyone that most of these thefts are preventable. We ask that residents and visitors remove all valuables from plain view. I know sometimes I forget to do it as well, but try to just remove those items. We also ask that residents report suspicious persons, vehicles, or anything that doesn't look right to 911. MPD's response to these thefts are extra patrols are being added to those areas, and we're getting support from our crime suppression team. Our crime suppression team are a large group of about 20 officers that work special. They focus on areas of crime, either auto theft, in this case, theft from autos. So they're assisting the patrol officers. On a positive note, we had no burglaries or robberies or any violent crimes in the last 30 days. Moving on to traffic, and I want to talk about an accident that we had. Some of you may have heard about it, some of you may not. On Friday, December 13th, 2024, at approximately 1200 hours, it was a Friday morning, we had to contact the Major Crash Investigation Unit. This unit comes out when we have accidents that involve serious injury and or death. They were requested to respond to the 5900 block of MacArthur Boulevard, Northwest, to assist with a single vehicle traffic crash with serious injuries. The preliminary investigation revealed the following. On Friday, December 13th, at approximately 11:29 in the morning, a blue 2022 Tesla Model 3 was traveling south, actually in Montgomery County at the time, within the 5900 block of MacArthur Boulevard, Northwest. The vehicle failed to maintain the lane of travel. It is a 41-year-old female. She failed to maintain lane of travel, struck the west curb, entered into the district. The Tesla crossed over the northbound lane of travel, then mounted the east curb, struck the west curb. The Tesla crossed over the northbound lane of travel, went up an embankment of a grassy area onto an access road up a slight hill before striking a fence at the Washington Adequate facility. The individual was trapped in the car momentarily, and DC Fire Department Palisades fire personnel responded and extricated her from the vehicle, and she was transported to Suburban Hospital. She did survive the accident, but at this point, I know she suffered some serious brain issues that she's being treated for. It should be noted this was a one-vehicle accident, and further investigation revealed that alcohol was involved, and that her blood alcohol was, I can just tell you, it was over 4 times the legal limit, which is very high. But that was the one vehicle, was the driver's, the only driver that was involved and the only vehicle. We also had another traffic accident, and this is near Commissioner Elkins, in Commissioner Elkins' area. On Thursday, January 2nd, at approximately 4 p.m. along the 3200 block of New Mexico Avenue, there was a 78-year-old driver who lost control of her vehicle while traveling northbound on New Mexico Avenue. The vehicle jumped the curb and then entered over the curb, struck a tree, a sign, and then came to rest against the brick wall next to the building there, where the stores are, that 3201 New Mexico Avenue. During the accident, the woman's vehicle on the passenger side brushed against the 76-year-old female woman who was walking or standing on the sidewalk. This woman fell to the ground and sustained a broken leg. The elderly driver stated, and this was a one-vehicle accident, the elderly driver stated that her foot got caught up with the floor mat, causing her to hit the gas pedal and also to lose control. That woman was not injured, and she was issued a $500 citation for colliding with a pedestrian. I'm going to move on to traffic, and then I'll be happy to take all questions. The areas that we targeted for enforcement last month were the 4500 block to the 5000 block of MacArthur Boulevard for speeding, folks being on their cell phones and any other traffic violations that we may have observed at the time. 4500 Macomb Street, we received a complaint in the morning hours, and this again, that would be your area, Commissioner Elkins, where they cut through Monday through Friday between 7 and 9:30, despite several signs. I did write 21 tickets for that. And finally, Lawborough Road, we received a complaint. 4800 to 4900 block at Lawborough Road for speeding was the actual complaint itself. And I didn't see too much speeding out there, but I did write 4 speeding, moving violations, nothing at great speed. My average threshold over there is 35. If you're over 35 miles an hour, you're going to be stopped. I just want to remind everyone that the second district, we have Amazon boxes free of charge. If you don't want to leave packages sit on your porch, or you don't have somebody to pick those packages up, take advantage of that. It's in a safe area. There's cameras, and it's right outside the front of our district. Our package thefts, I'm also happy to say, I don't have any to report, so they're down. And with that, I'm open for any complaints, concerns, compliments.
Very good. Do any commissioners have questions? Commissioner Elkins, please.
Well, I just want to make one comment, Officer. I know this is not in your bailiwick, it's more in the bailiwick of the council, but it does seem to me, for consideration of this commission later on, is $500 for hitting a pedestrian seems awfully low. I think we might want to talk to the council about raising these fines. That person, I hope she's not permanently injured, but to be walking down the sidewalk and be hit by a car, it seems to me just having the driver fined for $500 doesn't seem an appropriate response. So I just wanted to raise that with my fellow commissioners.
I will say that is one of the highest fines that we have for notices of traffic infractions, and it does come with quite a few points. But that is a good point taken, Commissioner Elkins. Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Duncan.
Officer McElwee, I know that the detectives are working on the theft from auto from the Spring Valley 49th Street, and there was a picture of the person. Do you know if there's any update on trying to identify that individual?
I'm going to have to check with the detective and ask them. I know the case is still active, and I know it's been circulating over through the media and through like Channel 7, Channel 5. But there may have been, I don't know, but I can get back to you on that, Commissioner Duncan, and I will look into that tomorrow and email you that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good. Any other commissioners? Mr. Highmark?
Sure, thanks. Thank you, Officer McElwee, for all your efforts and reports. It's really helpful to know what's going on. And 2 questions maybe in the way of also encouraging continued enforcement. The first is MacArthur Boulevard and whether you conducted any enforcement there and for speeding in particular. I'm asking because the Transportation Committee is considering or will be considering possible measures to calm traffic on MacArthur Boulevard. So it's helpful to know what kind of problem there is there. The other is stop signs. And I see it in my neighborhood, my next door neighbor on Cathedral Avenue in Wesley Heights. Cars just come through the stoplight at New Mexico and just proceed right up Cathedral, often without really stopping at all. And it's not unique to that area. That's just the one right near me. Is that something that you've been patrolling for? Can you do more of it? It really seems to become more and more of a problem and is a real danger to pedestrians and really other drivers, obviously, coming at the cross streets. Thanks.
Okay, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. MacArthur Boulevard is one of my biggest and most popular area, if you want to, if I can put it, for traffic enforcement. I wrote most of my tickets out on MacArthur Boulevard. Is there a particular stop sign that you would like us to focus on?
The one near me is in Wesley Heights, Cathedral and 44th Street.
44th. Okay, I can get out there.
You could probably also hit 45th, and it would be just as bad. But 44th, right next to me, and cars do come through or drivers come through that light and just seem to want to proceed on their merry way.
So they're going eastbound on Cathedral.
No, westbound towards Foxhall Road from New Mexico.
Okay, westbound. Okay, 44th and Cathedral.
Eastbound as well, but both directions. I think it seems to be more noticeable going westbound. But
okay, yeah, I gave some attention to 45th and Garfield, so I'll shift up to 44th.
Garfield is another one that could use attention because a lot of people use it to get from Foxhall to New Mexico. But both of those deserve attention. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put that on my list and you can expect to see, I drive an unmarked white car, so, if you see that, it's a Caprice. I'll be out there. I'm gonna try to get out there tomorrow after, everything over at the cathedral.
Yeah, fair enough.
Commissioner Horn, I have a question.
Yes. Commissioner Nowak.
Officer McElwee, can you update us on how MPD is handling the enforcement of no turn on red? Given the sort of weird hybrid structure that seems to be the enforcement plan as it was described to us last month?
Sure, there was a teletype that came out to all the officers, and we always enforce the no turn on reds. And we are directed to enforce any intersection that has the no turn on red signs. Not all the intersections have them, from what I'm told. There's a shortage of signs, and that may be a question to ask DDOT when, you know, how long it's going to take to put the rest of the signs in. But as far as MPD, we'll enforce them where the signs are posted. If there's no signs posted, we really can't enforce it until, because not everybody may have heard it through the.
Right. That was my
network.
question. And that was what DDOT had explained to us was the plan. I was just curious if you witness it, you or other officers witness it where there's not a sign, if you're stopping drivers just to say, hey, do you know this is the new rule and you shouldn't be turning right at. One that was shocking to me that does not appear to have a sign, last I looked, was Foxhall and Reservoir, going southbound on Foxhall. So eastbound on Reservoir did not appear to have the sign the last time I looked.
Well, I'm pretty confident these major intersections that don't have them, you're going to start seeing them pop up. But, you know, again, once the signs are in place, you know, and they make that turn, you know, and they're stopped, we will issue the $100 ticket for turning on a red.
Got it. Okay.
I
Thank you.
hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Any other questions for Officer McElwee? All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, now, happy New Year to everyone, and I am going to put my email address, as I always at the conclusion of you know, our presentation. Email me if you're going to be away on vacation for more than 2 or 3 days, and we'll be happy to swing by your house a couple of times while you're gone. Check on it. Have a great New Year's. See you next month.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that Christian Pinheiro is here. Great.
I am. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, Happy New Year to everyone. I wanted to just make an appearance for any of the new commissioners that were sworn in last week. So congratulations. I look forward to working with you all. And if you are curious and still haven't picked up your ANC parking pass, you can do so. I was actually at the swearing in under the great consideration of Commissioner Elkins. And I think that turned out pretty well. So we hopefully can get to duplicate that for future sessions. But you can always pick up your pass at our headquarters at 250 M Street Southeast. And you can coordinate with me or any other of my team members, and we can get those to you. It's also a new year, which also means it's a new TSI quarter. We have all the updates that are live right now on our dashboard, so feel free to check that out at your leisure. I did not see any for 3D, but we did have one populate last quarter on University Terrace, the 3000 block, where we'll be installing speed humps later this spring or summer, so be on the lookout for that. And I think another thing is we're still waiting for the results from our engineers. Commissioner Duncan and I have been working about the MacArthur Boulevard and the Arizona Avenue intersection. Our team is doing another further study at the signal timing. So we should hopefully have some results in the next few weeks about what that is all about. And I'll obviously brief the Transportation Committee on those matters as well. I'm also open for any questions.
Yes, Commissioner Simkowitz.
Yes, Mr. Pinheiro, are you familiar with the 44th Street transportation requests for speed bumps in Foxhall
Yes, I
Village?
think you and I did communicate. I did think you put that in the email. That follows a different process from, I think, the original request was about that crosswalk. Is that correct?
Yeah, so they're looking for crosswalks at all of the intersections, which would be P, Volta, Q, and Greenwich. I think there might be one or two there, but not all of them. And also, many people today are asking for speed bumps because the speeds are just outrageous on 44th Street.
Understood. I'll make sure to keep an eye on that. If there is a
Thank you.
request in, I'll make sure I keep a awareness. And if there is not one, if you or someone else in your constituent want to put it through on one request and forward it to me, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Any other commissioners have questions? Anyone else in the audience, questions for DDOT? Very good. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Let's move to higher education institutions. Is there anyone here from American University that has something to report? Seeing none. I see Kevin Days. So why don't we go to George Washington University?
Good evening. Happy New Year's and congratulations to the new Commissioner, Mark Blumenthal. We look forward to working with you. My name is Kevin Days. I'm the Executive Director for Government and Community Relations at the George Washington University, and I have two quick announcements, and then I'll get out of your way so you can get to your rest of your agenda. My first announcement is that our quarterly community meeting is scheduled for next Thursday at 7 p.m. That is a meeting that is required, that the university is required to have to give you updates on what's happening on the Mount Vernon campus, any development that we're doing, and then it's a time for us to hear back from community members if there are any issues that you want us to look into. So I'm going to drop the link for registering for that meeting. It's a Zoom meeting. We encourage you to come. We have a new assistant dean of the campus who is very excited to meet and work with community members. So we're really hoping that you will attend that meeting, meet Betsy Schinberg, who's the new dean, and give us an opportunity to give you updates on what's going on the campus. The second thing I want to do is I saw Tricia at the holiday reception last month, and the President Grant Burke sends her New Year's greetings, and also would like to extend an invitation to the ANC commissioners to join her for breakfast on campus. That breakfast is scheduled for February 1st. It's a Saturday morning. We ask you to come and have coffee and some nice beverages and some nice breakfast treats with us. We have extended an invitation to the council member, Matt Fuman, who I understand will also be joining us. So it's a nice time to be able to chat with the president and get to talk with council member Fruman. So you'll get a written invitation to that next week, but since I was being at this meeting, I want to extend an oral invitation to you all. So that's it. Pretty brief. I like to keep my updates pretty brief and let you guys get back to the important work. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
That's great. Any questions? No, I don't see any. Thank you so much, Kevin.
You're welcome.
For Georgetown, Georgetown campus plan is on the official actions agenda. Is there anything other than that that needs to be discussed?
Chair Horn, if I could just quickly make a couple quick announcements, that'd be lovely.
Please.
Again, my name is Corey Peterson. I'm our AVP for Community Engagement and Local Government Affairs. The two quick announcements I have is school started today, and normally we would have a full campus, but as many know, that with the weather, we've had a lot of students trapped and trying to get here on their flights and cars back to their homes, and so we expect that will carry on through, and especially with the upcoming weather, that may carry on into early next week. But we are officially back in session as of today. The second announcement I have is that in December we concluded our annual compliance season, and we filed our annual compliance report and our transportation performance monitoring report. Both of those can be found on our community engagement website. I'll drop the link in the chat so folks can find that information there. And that's it. I'll be happy to take any questions.
That's great. Are there any questions? Seeing none, let's move on to other institutions. How about an update from the German embassy construction project?
Hey, good evening, and Happy New Year to all of you. My name is Kai Spiecher. I'm the head of administration of the German embassy, and well, I can't report actually a lot because construction works in December worked very well and smooth, and I think without larger and disturbance for the neighbors. There was lots of ground moving, lots of many trucks who came and took away earth. So it was very busy, but I think we didn't get any complaints. So I think it went quite smoothly for the neighbors also without any dirt on the streets. So it was, I think, pretty successful. It stopped short before the holidays, and today actually was the first day of the works resuming, but there didn't much go on. There was still too much snow on it and too cold. So we're very happy with the progress, and let's see. The ideally we'll finish sometime in the middle of this year, and let's see what this year brings. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Any questions? Okay. Are there any other institutions that have some announcement? Hospitals, schools, PTAs? Usually not. Don't see any. Okay, let's go to commissioner updates, starting with Commissioner Elkins. You're on mute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one note, the Transportation Committee will be meeting on the 15th of January at 1 p.m. and you'll find the link up on the ANC website. I guess I should be deferring this actually to the new chair of the Transportation Committee, but I went ahead and wrote it down just in case.
I appreciate that.
Commissioner Duncan?
I do have a few updates, and I'm going to be a little bit lengthy here because there was some questions on the listserv, and I just think people might be interested. So people may remember 5122 Cathedral. That was the site where ANC3D, along with a neighbor, appealed the building permit. So we have been waiting for the building permit to get approved with the new concept because we are still running through the BZA to wait for a final hearing. So we heard that DOEE was holding up the project because they had done a complete review for stormwater management. So I reached out and they did confirm that they are requiring a more robust stormwater management on this project. They are very concerned about runoff to the neighbors. This is all great news. They did say that the last time they sent something back to the builder was at the beginning of December, and they have not gotten a reply or edits back from the builder. But as of now, there's no building permit, and we are well over, I think in March, this will be 2 years we've been working on this project. So hopefully this design is going to be fine. The Eskridge Terrace homes, the 2 new homes that are there, DOEE also got back on that because there is an active building permit there, but there's no work going on. And they informed me that they approved the stormwater management plan there in September of 2024. I have no idea why construction hasn't started, but they did re-up their building permits. So I anticipate probably in the spring, those homes being finished. Commissioner Horn and I continue to work with the zoning administrator on their interpretation of ZA10. And we have called in 2 additional homes. Commissioner Elkins, did you have a question about one of the the projects I had just?
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but
No, it's
I
okay.
just wanted to make the point that builders who cheat on the system, we're watching closely on behalf of all the residents in the neighborhood, as you and Bernie in particular have done on this particular case. And here it has delayed this builder by 2 years. And I think there's a message there for people who cheat. If we catch them, we're going to come after them, not to delay them, but to get them to do it right. And I hope that message We ought to find a way to get that message out to builders. Most of the builders in our neighborhood are complying. But there are the occasional cheaters. So I just had to emphasize that point. 2 years. Bet it cost him a fortune.
Also, 5010 Sherrier, the Department of Buildings filled that site in with dirt because the builder tore down the house without a permit. The one that we called in at 5030 Cathedral, that builder immediately went and got a variance through the BZA, and he's now on track. So he ended up following the rules. At 5401 Potomac Avenue, we have gotten alerts from neighbors, one of whom is in touch with an architect. They think the building's too high. I asked the Department of Buildings to verify that it was meeting the 40-foot height requirement. And we think that they didn't leave 40% of the house. But looking at the building plans, the builder did exactly what is on the building plan. So I'm not sure the Department of Buildings is going to put a stop work order on that, but I plan on following up. But there's also one at 5401 Potomac Avenue. They tore down way too much of the house that what was on their building plans. And I drove by there today and they have a stop work order. It is 100% not economical to cheat. Regarding the Sibley Hospital Emergency Department Behavioral Unit, I have spoken with Sibley and I have been in contact with the neighbors, and we will be hopefully voting on this in our February meeting, but Sibley is going to convene a virtual meeting in which the neighbors are going to be able to ask them all the questions. And then we will also have them here back at the ANC meeting. But I think that this is a good step for Sibley to take to reassure the neighbors that this isn't going to have negative impacts on the neighbors. They do have some legitimate concerns. And my last update is the Safe Routes to Key School project has officially been launched. Commissioner Blumenthal has graciously agreed to work with me on this. We put out a survey to the Key School community. We got almost 100 responses, and Commissioner Blumenthal and I are working on this, reviewing that data on Friday and next steps, and we will be reporting on that at the Transportation Committee next week. Those are my updates.
Thank you very much. How about Commissioner Blumenthal?
Unmuted. I do not have an update, although just want to say I'm pleased to be here and looking forward to working with everyone. And I believe that I convinced the District of Columbia that I in fact took the oath of office, and they bequeathed the control of the email account for 3D04. So you can now send me official emails as of this morning.
That's great. I am next, and I have nothing to add at this point. So I'll go to Commissioner Nowak.
I have only a quick item, and that is I have seen on the listserv a number of complaints from neighbors about homes or businesses who have not removed their snow. We do sort of talk about this every winter. The district does have laws that snow must be removed 24 hours after the end of the storm. And it's a modest fund for homeowners at $25 and $100 for businesses. But those fines will never be levied if people do not report those businesses to DDOT. I guess I would call 311 with the address and the complaints, because I think that posting it to listserv is good to have people be on the lookout when they're walking in. But does not help in terms of getting any enforcement action for those folks. And that's it for today.
Very good, Commissioner Simkowitz.
I don't have any formal updates. I do would like to talk about what Commissioner Nowak just did about the snow on sidewalks. I've noticed in Foxhall Village there are a lot of people that did not shovel their snow, and it creates really treacherous situations for people, including healthy people like me, who or walking. I've started walking in the street because frankly, the sidewalks are slipperier than the street is, because thanks to Mayor Bowser and our friends at uh, Commissioner Mr. Cox, what department handles that? DPW?
Snow removal?
Yeah, snow on the street.
Snow removal for the street is DPW.
Yeah, they've done an excellent job, and please thank them on our behalf. But the sidewalks are a problem, and I don't know who to report such people that don't remove this to. Do you know, Mr. Cox?
I would say if putting in a 311 request would be good, and then also if there's any communications, you can copy me on that as well, and then I can run it up the chain on my end so that the right people know about it. It might be a case where we'd have to just go to these houses, just let people know, hey, you gotta take care of the sidewalks.
Yeah, at least we should be sending out warning letters to people where this has been flagged, and that's something that your office in the Mokers might want to handle because there's so many of them. I mean, you'd be doing 311 reports all day if somebody had the time to do that. I've counted probably a third of the neighbors in Foxhall Village have not shoveled their snow, and it's really a problem.
All right, very good. We're going to move to community concerns. Anyone can raise a concern. Give me the yellow hand signal if you're interested in speaking. You should limit your comments to 2 minutes if you're going to do so. Also, residents can put comments on this on the comments on this Zoom, or on our website ANC3D.org. You can go to contact and send us any comments. Catherine.
Samolik.
Yes, Samolik.
Sorry.
Yes.
I was just wondering if there was any DDOT update on the proposed changes to Lower Foxhall Road after the pedestrian fatality last year. At the September FCCA meeting, 2 people came and gave us a PowerPoint presentation about what was proposed to be done. But I was just wondering if there was any update about the timing. And, if the question can't be answered here, maybe people in the transportation committee could, ask about it and let our representatives, Marilyn and JP, know if there's any more information about the status. Thanks.
Hey, ma'am, can you hear me? This is Christian from DDOT.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes.
Yes, so thank you so much for that update. It was actually myself and my colleague from the engineering team who came to present. I believe, and I can double check, the comment period for that NOI, I believe, was like in September or October, and then we ran into the ending of our construction season when winter came. So we can anticipate this work to be completed in the spring. I'll give you a more definitive timeline later in the next few months, but that's what we're shooting for.
Very good. Anyone else raising a hand? If not, I'll move on to discussions. The first one is the field school. Sherry Rutherford. Is Sherry here?
I am right here.
Oh, perfect. Please go ahead.
Great. And if I can share my screen, I will do that. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, again, my name is Sherry Rutherford. I'm here on behalf of the field school. Thank you very much for your time this evening, and congratulations, Chair Horn, on your ascension to chairing this commission. So, and I also, before I get started, I would like to mention and thank Chair Simkowitz, who is the SMD for the field school, who has just been incredibly accessible and available to us throughout this planning process. And so, again, I just want to make mention of that. That's very much appreciated by myself and the entire field school team. And speaking of team, I am joined here tonight by a wide array of folks who are going to really not just be here tonight, but throughout the entirety of this process, through the planning process, through the entitlements process, implementation, construction. So we've got leadership from the field school, our land use council, Christy Scheiker is here, a team from the project architect Perkins as well, our transportation consultant, as well as the project manager from Greenbench. So again, you've got a wide range of folks here tonight, who not all of whom you'll hear from in our presentation, because we are going to try to keep it tight and to the point, but we'll all be here to answer any questions that any of you may have for throughout the evening. And in terms of an agenda, our head of school, Lori Strauss, will provide an overview of the project that brings us here tonight. Our design team will give you an overview of the project plans themselves. Jamie Milanovic from Wells will provide a brief update on transportation considerations. I will note that we presented this, our TDM and our transportation plan to the Transportation Committee, and we appreciate that opportunity as well. We'll come back to me at the end to talk a little bit about our engagement strategy and the work we've done with our neighbors and our next steps in that regard. And then obviously we're here to answer any questions you may have. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to, again, Lori Strauss, the head of school for the field school.
Thank you, Sherry. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lori Strauss, and I am the head of school at Field. Like Sherry, I just want to thank you for your partnership through this process. It has been really helpful to talk through and be able to ask questions and process some of our thoughts with you prior to this meeting. So thank you for that partnership. It really does amplify and really symbolic of the relationship we have with the neighborhood. And so it feels good to continue to be in that partnership with everyone. I know many of you are familiar with Field, and I don't want to take up too much of your time this evening. A little bit about Field and who we are. We are a 6 through 12 here in the neighborhood. We have 368 students currently, and our mission and the way that we educate students is really unique to the school itself. We are an inquiry-driven, student-centered, interdisciplinary educational institution, and we really aim to provide the best education, which we define as the intersection of best practice and research, to all of our students. One of the things that we aim to teach our students, and that we feel we do a really good job of with our graduates and who they are as humans in the world, is to not only to learn and to take in knowledge and information for themselves, but to be able to be better citizens, better neighbors, to be somebody that you actually want to have at your dinner table and have an engaging conversation with, someone who takes their responsibilities seriously and is full of integrity. All of our courses, all of the work we do with students, whether it's academic or social emotional learning, is really geared and aimed towards that goal. We have an amazing facility on campus, and what we are looking to do now is enhance that facility to ensure that not only can we run the program that we so desire, but we can continue to share our spaces with the neighborhood and be a good partner and a good neighbor in the community. So you're going to hear all about our plans in a second, but we are proposing the addition of a 15,000 square foot innovation center that is essentially hugged, really nestled into the heart of campus. And then we are also reconfiguring some of our outdoor athletic facilities. As you know, our field is accessible to our neighbors when we are not using it during the school day. We will, of course, be continuing to make that available, as well as any other of our outdoor athletic facilities, to the neighborhood and the community. And then we're enhancing our vegetative buffers. We take a lot of pride in the beauty of our campus. We also take pride in our relationships with our 200-foot neighbors and ensuring that they have the appropriate vegetation to keep their homes exactly as they wish to. And then we are asking to move our campus population from 400 students to 425. This will be a very slow and gradual increase over the next several years, as well as increasing our faculty from 110 to 120 here on campus. I hope that you are as excited as you see some of these plans as we are. And of course, we'll have time for questions at the end, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our architects.
Good evening. Thank you, Lori. My name is Carl Knudsen. I'm with Perkins & Will Architects here in Washington, D.C. It's great to be here. We're going to go through the existing and proposed plans and show you what we're adding on, as Lori mentioned. This includes a large, the 15,000 square foot innovation center, which will connect the campus together. Talk a little bit about the planting plan, the buffers. We'll focus a little bit on our field orientation and how we designed it into the site that has a significant amount of topography. Briefly mention the lighting, and then briefly touch on stormwater management as well. So this is our existing plan as it stands now. As some of you might know, there are multiple buildings that you can see up there in the light gray, numbered, that make up the field school. Including the main Caffrett's house, which was the original house number 3 that you see off of Fox Hall. Fox Hall Road is on the left-hand side for your reference here. And then there's the existing soccer field located down the hill, labeled as well. So for the updated plan, or the new plan for field school, the key components that we're adding are a new innovation center that you see there is number 7, and that will have a new entry that comes off of the parking to the south that you see there in the yellow. We're also going to have a series of outdoor spaces that connect down to the new enhanced field, which is basically similar to the existing field, a little larger, providing some additional athletic components to it as well. There also will be a practice field to support some of their adjacent athletic programs that ties into the Wonder Building, which is labeled as number 6 there. And then you can see some of the other components that our site plan has, but I will point out the vegetated buffer that we're really trying to ensure around the neighbors to the south, and then working our way around to the east and then to the north as well. And then the large trees that you see there are the heritage trees that we are preserving as part of our plan. We thought we want to include this. This is the view from Fox Hall Road. So you can see in the site plan in the upper right-hand corner, Fox Hall Road is on the left-hand side. You're looking at the Caffrett's house, which is the original house, as I mentioned, which is on the top of the hill. And then what you see adjacent to Fox Hall Road is the Audi building, or the A building, that steps down. And our new addition is shown there in the blue, which is basically sort of nestled in, as Lori mentioned, between the buildings. So it's really basically hidden from the Fox Hall Road and from the driving public as you pass the school. Here it is in a 3-dimensional rendering, and working from the upper left down is the Caffrett's house, and the existing buildings that sort of surround the Caffrett's house. And then the new building, the new innovation center, is at the bottom of the hill, as Sherry is pointing out right here, that connects basically across the campus and connects all the buildings together. And it's really about enhancing the overall student experience, as Lori talked about, but also the connectivity across the campus. This is a rendered site plan. And the purpose of really this site plan is really to show the density of the landscape, both natural and planted, if you will, around the campus, including a series of green roofs, a series of fields, and then also extensive plantings and trees and shrubs and bushes around the campus. And then a little focus here on the site improvements, including the new sports field that's being added. There is an existing sports field that's shown there in the red. We're going to add a slightly larger sports field shown there in the blue to provide some enhanced athletics for field school. And this includes a field that will provide soccer and lacrosse striping and additional spaces for spectators and the teams as well. And as Lori mentioned, this is part of Field's commitment to the neighborhood is to provide this field to the neighbors when it's not in use by the school. In the upper right-hand side, you see a section through the campus moving from the new building on the left-hand side across the new field, showing that topography. And I would turn it over to my coworker, Nancy.
Hi, everyone. Nancy Griblock, also with Parkinson Well. So as Carl was mentioning in the previous plan, in order to include a new jogging track around the field, what will happen is that the whole field will shift towards the east. And what we have done is comprehensively study the different ways to support and retain that new field. And you can see here 3 different of those studies, from the first study trying to fit the by right terracing of the retaining walls in the field, which is clearly infeasible. There's not enough room in the site, all the way to the last option you see here, which we think is the best solution, that takes into account the heritage trees, and even though it provides a taller wall, which we will be asking for relief from, it at the same time it provides a bigger vegetative buffer. The height of this wall will be around the field, will be around, it starts at a foot and it slopes all the way up to 25 feet. In this slide here, you can see a comparison between the existing conditions of the trees on the east side, where the new retaining wall would be. The first diagram shows the dark trees. Those are the heritage trees. And then the second option, diagram shows the proposed design. You see a lot more greenery and a denser buffer zone. So another improvement to the site design will be adding outdoor lighting to allow expanded use of the field to evening hours. These lights would be turned off by 9 p.m. Something to note here, we were asked in the past to note, is that the school is not planning to expand their current athletic program schedule. Their schedule will remain as is. And in this next slide, you can see that the proposed lighting will ensure significant reduction of light spilling to adjacent properties. This lighting will provide special technology to support that. So in terms of stormwater management, given the steep slopes that we talked about, and we heard that there were previous challenges associated with the site, we understand that this was a concern in the past. These issues were addressed as part of the 2012 BZA order and have been managed pretty effectively. Now the next drawing shows as we're looking at the new design, our civil engineers will be providing a design that effectively manages the collection of water throughout the site to meet DC codes and avoid any impacts to adjacent properties as well. So now we can talk about transportation, Jamie.
Yeah, thanks, Nancy. Just quickly want to give a quick overview with respect to the transportation elements of the project. We are expecting just a very minor increase in trips associated with that gradual increase in the student and faculty and staff cap that Lori spoke about at the outset of the presentation. And what that means is that increase in cap would result in an additional 23 a.m. peak hour vehicle trips. Now, keep in mind, that's the inbound plus the outbound. So that's a two-way number. We're also expecting an increase of about 13 vehicle trips during the school's afternoon peak hour and 10 additional vehicle trips during the afternoon commuter peak hour. We are not proposing any change in access, so it'll continue to function as it does today. The pickup drop-off operation will continue as it does today. There's plenty of room on site to accommodate that minor increase in traffic to ensure that any vehicle queues in the pickup drop-off operation will not spill out onto Foxhall Road. We are proposing a very slight decrease in parking from 132 to 129 spaces. That's a little bit of a reconfiguration we're doing at the parking lot to provide an area where the bus parking, the shuttle bus parking that the school provides, they'll have a consolidated place to park those shuttle buses. We've done occupancy counts in the parking lot. It's currently underutilized. We're just under 70% utilized today, so that minor decrease in parking will not have any impact on the neighborhood. The school has also proposed a transportation demand management plan. I've just kind of highlighted some of the key points on this slide. I'm not going to take the time to read through all of those, but the two, I think, most significant ones that I want to point out is that the school currently does run that shuttle bus program. It's a very significant and extensive program. Currently, 34% of students are registered to ride the bus in the morning. 43% of students are registered to ride the bus in the afternoon. So it significantly reduces trips to and from the school. As part of this TDM plan that the school has proposed, they have committed to continuing the shuttle bus program. The school has also established a trip cap and has agreed to do annual monitoring studies to ensure that the TDM plan is working in the manner intended. They'll continue those monitoring plans annually, and then eventually they'll be phased out after the school successfully shows that it's met all of the requirements of the TDM plan for 3 consecutive years. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Sherry to wrap things up.
Great, thank you so much, Jamie. So just to recap sort of what we've been up to since our planning efforts started. And you've heard from us a little bit before over the past several months, but we convened 2 public meetings. One was on Zoom, a virtual meeting, another one in person, to share the proposed plans with interested stakeholders, nearby neighbors, and elicit their feedback and integrate that into our plan. We've continued to hold several one-on-one meetings starting over the summer and as recently as this afternoon. So we're responding to any questions and any concerns neighbors have. And again, it's generally been very helpful for us to meet on site with our neighbors, meet at our neighbors' homes so they can actually understand the impact and sort of really the lack of impact that most of our proposal has on their properties. We've responded directly to feedback regarding lighting, noise, construction management issues, and those are really reflected in the proposed conditions that were integrated in our application that was filed earlier. And then as I mentioned at the beginning, we've reviewed our proposed TDM plan with not only DDOT, but with the ANC3D Transportation Committee. And we also submitted our transportation statement early to the committee and to DDOT for their review to make sure if there are any questions, we have time to address that prior to the zoning hearing. We've confirmed our continued commitment to make our field and outdoor spaces available, not only for members of the community, but youth sports organizations in the district. We're very cognizant of the lack of quality outdoor playing space for district sports organizations. So we want to do our part in making sure that we share our resources with others across the city. And then we continue to work very closely with the neighbors who are particularly most impacted by this retaining wall. And then that will take us into really where we're going next with this. There's one neighbor in particular that is most impacted by at that 25-foot height that Nancy mentioned. And they continue to have some concerns with the impact of that on their property. So we are working right now, again, directly with them to see, if there are changes we can make to the proposal that will alleviate the impact of that wall. That's work that's ongoing literally as we speak. And so, we would like to just continue to work with the ANC as those plans are updated between now and when we submit our 30-day pre-hearing submission, which would be on February 3rd. In that time, we'll also continue to work with DC agencies, including OP and DDOT, the Urban Forestry Division, and DOEE, again, as we finalize the plans as part of our 30-day pre-hearing submission. And we Obviously plan on coming back to the ANC in February for consideration and for a vote on our resolution. We expect our DDOT and OP reports by late February prior to the hearing. That BZA hearing is currently scheduled for March 5th. And then our target construction commencement is by summer or fall of 2025. I know we fit a lot into a short period of time, but I'm happy to answer any questions. And again, we have sort of our full team here to respond to any questions you may have, but thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much. That was great. Commissioner Elkins has his hand raised.
Yes, thank you. I have a few things I wanted to mention. The field school used to be part of my district, and I had the pleasure of working with the school several years ago with regard to the stormwater problem that developed. And I want to say that I found the management of the school very receptive to working with the neighbor who was being affected. We didn't understand why it was happening, but worked through the problems. And what I learned from that experience is it's really important that no matter what the engineers might have planned in the design, there are sometimes it just doesn't work that way in nature. And I commend the school in that case of working with the neighbor and working out the problem. And I would hope that there would be a similar commitment from the school this time, that no matter what may be designed in terms of stormwater, and I hope it will be designed very, very well. But if for some reason it doesn't work, I hope you will continue your policy of working with the neighbors to fix whatever problem, and a commitment along that line would be helpful. Secondly, I'm hoping that the 9 p.m. light situation will be written into your application to the BZA, so that if at some point in the future you may want to change that time, that it would be subject to a neighborhood discussion. Something that's important to this commission, and particularly the Transportation Committee, is 44th Street. We have strongly urged the Department of Transportation to open up the path below 44th Street that goes right past your property into a decent bike lane. And it would be helpful to have the commitment from the school that, although it's not on your property, that you have no objection to turning that into a legitimate bike path. Actually, I hope it would help some of your students as well. But it's an important thing to the community, because I don't have to tell you that riding a bicycle down Foxhall Road is taking your life into your own hands. And if we instead can give people the opportunity to go from let's say American University down to the Palisades and go by way of 44th Street and then W Street, that's a very healthy way to do that. And so we hope that the field school would make a commitment to raise no objection to that project coming forth. Finally, I just want to say, I think it's great that the school provides these shuttles. Not every school does that, and I think the schools be commended to having that expense, but still providing that service, and it really is a benefit to the neighborhood. And finally, those of us on the Transportation Committee appreciate the fact that you came forward proactively to engage the committee ahead of time, and that's been very helpful. Thank you.
Does Sherry or anyone want to answer Commissioner Elkins on that, or do you want to do it offline maybe?
I can answer some of it, and we can do some of it offline. I think the most important thread that I heard, and I, of course, 100% agree. It's not just stormwater management, but anytime our neighbors have an issue with anything that is happening around campus, we are responsive and continue to be. John Rieger, who's on this call, who is our COFO, is amazing. And, a tree comes down, a limb comes down, whatever the issue is, he is right there working with the neighbor. So 100% yes to being responsive to any stormwater concerns, but more importantly, 100% commitment to being responsive to any concerns. I think the one thing, that has been very apparent through this whole process is that not only do we value our neighbors, but our neighbors really value us. I am incredibly appreciative of the open lines of communication, and I don't expect that anything about this project would change any of that as well. And happy to talk sort of offline here, because I know it's a larger conversation, and of course, safety is very important to us, for not just our students, but for all pedestrians and cyclists. Happy to talk further offline about that bike path and what support of that might mean.
Very good. We're very much for bike paths. Commissioner Simkowitz?
Thank you, Chairperson Horn. I'd like to thank Ms. Strauss and Ms. Rutherford for their presentation. I think that it goes to show the presentation was amazing and very helpful for us. The one thing that I would recommend that the field school do is try to formalize the use of the soccer field for community groups, so that the neighbors on the one hand and the community groups on the other know what the parameters are, what the rental fees are, what the timetables are, and then the number of people that are allowed to participate. Because this is something that, to my knowledge, no other school does, and I think it's a great thing that you're offering to do this. But I can see potential problems with neighbors if the parking got out of hand or something. I don't anticipate that, but I think that something on your website describing the use of the field program would be very helpful, so that neighbors can comment. And I think that should be reflected in your plan that you submit to us for review. And also the retaining wall. This might be a question for one of the engineers. Can you describe the problems with that and the impact on the neighbors, if any?
Yeah, we could, well, because of the topography, the retaining wall has to sort of adapt to the undulating topography. So as Nancy mentioned, it starts sort of at a 1 foot increment, and then it does go up. So it does become quite visible in some of the areas. So what we've been doing is making sure that we provide enough landscape buffer between that wall and the adjacent neighbors. So that's been many of the discussions that we've had about the extent of the vegetated buffer between those components. And we have some additional graphics that we can certainly share with you if that would help sort of clarify that.
Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Duncan?
So my question was on the wall also. It was on page 12 of the slide where you all had explored tiering the wall there, terracing it down. And the first one said, multiple terrace. And then there was one that said two-tiered, but it didn't say, like, see number two-tiered retaining wall, but then the language there is only for one wall. What was the problem with
the second option?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we did here is, like, we tried to do a compromise. What if we terrace it on one side and we didn't do it on the other side? But what we encountered by doing that was that we would be encroaching into the heritage trees.
Okay.
And we didn't want to do that. And then it didn't provide enough buffer to allow us to do more plantings. So what we wanted to do is, we thought that we proved in a way that building more greenery in front of the tree would be more, you would hide the wall more than having to terrace it. If that makes sense.
I am not as familiar with this part of the site. When I'm looking at that yellow little arrow, is that the side where it's super tall?
It's right here.
That's the tall side there?
Yeah.
Right
Where the
here.
cursor is?
Exactly.
Okay. And then so some of those houses there are impacted more than others, but you're saying it's only one house that really can see The
This
25 foot?
this is the property that's most significantly impacted. The rest of them, just given the there's some height over here as well, but given the distance between the property line and the wall, and then just the density of the vegetation here, it really does, fully mitigate any impacts on this side. Just given the topography here and the siting of this particular home and the proximity to the property line, this is really the only problematic corner.
Do you know how far that house is from the field school property line on the corner there?
I do not know off the top of my head. I'm not sure.
We have all that information.
Okay.
I don't know from the top of my
It doesn't,
head.
we have time to get into the details. My other question is, and I don't need to see the slide anymore. Thank you for pulling that up. Are you so the light request is included in this proposal before the VZA?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Elkins, and then we'll go to Commissioner Simkowitz.
I just wanted to mention one thing about vegetation buffers. This commission has had more experience than it would like with regard to vegetation buffers, particularly around American University. And I think we've learned something about that, and I'll just pass it on. This is my opinion. I'll pass on my opinion with you. And that is that it's pretty easy to install a buffer, but it's on the other side of the wall from the institution, and it's easy to forget about it. And what I have found is that more anger at the institution, in this case, American University, with regard to the upkeep of the buffer than you would ever imagine. And there are several of these cases. So I just pass it on to you that it's not just a commitment of putting in the buffer, but making sure that it grows and is healthy forever and ever. So I don't expect you to put that into your BCA application, but I suggest that because I know you care about your relationship with the neighbors, and you might as well learn from your sister institutions' experience. Thank you.
Commissioner Simkowitz.
Thank you, Chairperson Horn. I made a plan to go out to the site with Miss Rutherford next week. I was on vacation last week, but can you tell me if the house at issue is above the field or below the field?
It is below the field.
So it would be looking sort of at a hill right now if there's no wall.
It's looking at a sloped hill right now, up to right, and sort of vegetated up to where the fence line is on the existing field.
So
there is no retaining wall at all right now for the field.
Why is the retaining wall required with the new plan? Is
Because it's
the weight
shifting.
different?
It's because it's shifting closer to the property line, and that property line between where the field ends now and where that home is again, it's the topography is very steep.
Thank you.
So I mean, there's no other way to maintain it unless you put that retaining wall there.
Thank you.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like there's a athletic track around the field there. Is that what I was looking at?
Yes, I mean, the track is what is part of there is a field currently, like I said, with no retaining wall, but by incorporating the track around the field is requiring us to, move it out further to the south. That's what's triggering.
Okay.
I've got another question. Have you talked to the homeowner about planting trees on the homeowner's property to sort of shield the wall?
Yes, absolutely.
And what was their response?
They're still, the wall is still too high for them.
Okay.
Yep. It looks like Marilyn may have heard from them.
No, I'm sorry. I was finding something else.
Okay. But again, we are continuing to engage in discussions with them. We've been talking to them for several months at this point. And we are committed to, to this project, to this schedule. And that's why, again, we appreciate the ANC's willingness to work with us as we lead between now and, our pre-hearing submission when we have this plan filed.
Did we lose Commissioner Horn? I think we did. As vice chair, I am just gonna step
Start
in
a coup.
until he comes back. If there's no other questions, I think we're going to say thank you to the field school and the entire team who showed up. This is very informative, and I'm sure that we'll be exchanging information, in the coming month before our next meeting.
We will
Thank
very much be in touch with you throughout this process. And again, we appreciate your willingness to work through these issues with us, and as we move towards our pre-hearing submission.
Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Thank you. Up next, we have a discussion from Bang Pop Korean Barbecue. They are going for a liquor license, and I am not sure who is here. If you could turn on your camera, and I'm going to admit Commissioner Horn back into the meeting. So if you are here with to give a brief presentation on Bang Pop, it would be helpful if you turned your camera on or unmuted yourself.
Chairperson Horn is back now, it looks like.
Commissioner Horn.
I hope.
Yes, we said goodbye to Field, and we would like to introduce Bang Pop. So I took over there for a little bit.
Very good.
Commissioner Duncan, I don't see anybody from Bang Pop on,
Oh.
although they had confirmed earlier today their attendance. So maybe we just can possibly come back to them later in the meeting.
Yes. Why don't we move on to official actions? And the next thing is the Georgetown Campus Plan, Shaw Field Lights. Commissioner Duncan, is this a motion?
It is. Motion on the floor is to approve the letter of support that was circulated and posted online for the Georgetown Campus Plan amendment for the Shaw Field Lights. I have taken a friendly amendment from Commissioner Elkins to add a sentence that says we have not heard that there are any adverse impacts from these lights onto the field. Do I have a second?
Second. Commissioner Nowak seconds. Go ahead, Commissioner Duncan.
We've heard a lot about these. We had a great presentation. I, for one, have not heard any complaints, and I would like to approve this. Is there anyone else who has questions?
Not a question, but a comment in my role on the Georgetown Community Partnership. That group has also voted to approve this plan as stated and as presented, that in concert with what we'll approve.
Very good. Anyone else have comment or questions?
I'm not allowed to vote because I have a conflict with Georgetown still, but as a citizen whose house looks out on this field, I'm fully in support of this. I have not heard any of my neighbors complain, and I hope that the commission passes this, although I cannot vote on this.
Very good. Any other discussion?
Does someone on the commission want to testify or be available at the zoning commission? I have it on my calendar, so I would do it, but I don't want it if you want to do it, Marilyn.
What's the date on that, Commissioner Duncan?
Mr. Peterson, do you know can you shout out the date?
Should be Thursday, January 16th.
I am unfortunately out of town next week, so I am not available to do that. So if you're available, Commissioner Duncan, and willing, that'd be great.
All right, with Commissioner Horn's approval, I will sign up.
That sounds great. The question is whether to approve this letter. All in favor? So it's 5 in favor and 1 abstain.
And 1 not present.
And 1 not present, yes. The next thing on official actions is resumption of campus plan for Wesley Seminary on expedited basis. Commissioner Elkins, do you have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think this commission, including the former part of this commission, before we constituted as of January, have had more meetings and discussions about the Wesley Seminary than anything ever in its history. And so I'm not going to go through any details, except to say that it's obvious to everyone on this commission that time has run over this consideration of this project, and that Wesley is anxious to legitimately to move ahead. And so they've asked the zoning commission to waive some of their provisions that would normally stretch this process out even longer, and to be able to go immediately back to consideration within the community and then to the zoning commission on the campus plan. And the reason that I think we should be in favor of that is because all the parties to this project understand what is involved in this campus plan and have already expressed our views about everything except the one outstanding item, which has to do with affordable housing. And that is the issue which Wesley now needs to deal with in some detail, and then go back to the zoning commission. And before that, I'm sure they will be before us to explain what they plan to do, but they don't know yet exactly what they're going to do. They are committed to do something about affordable housing. It's just not clear exactly what that is. So what we are asking in this letter is to agree for the zoning commission to agree with Wesley to move the process forward expeditiously. This will not foreclose us as parties or any party from having a full opportunity to comment on the final campus plan. So it does not, in my mind, and I think all the parties would agree on this, it does not disadvantage any parties in terms of being able to have a full comment on the final campus plan. It just moves the process forward faster than normal. So I ask approval of this letter.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve this letter. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Commissioner Duncan seconds. Is there any discussion? Discussion of this letter? We've discussed this issue so many times. All right, why don't we go right to a vote? All in favor of approving the letter? Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 votes aye. Unanimous among the people who are here. We move to the DCPS holiday construction hours for MacArthur High School. Commissioner Nowak.
Thank you, Commissioner Horn. As the commissioners all know, the MacArthur High School is undergoing construction to expand it to accept more students and provide more amenities. To keep on track with their timeline, they have requested permission to work on DC holidays. So I present to the commission a request that we support them in that request to the Department of Buildings. Catherine, if you'd be kind enough to share the letter. We need to fill in a few blanks on the letter, but I do submit it for just the general structure. This is consistent with letters that we have written for other projects where we just ask that they be allowed to work on the district holidays, which I'll insert the 2025 list. I didn't have it at hand when I was writing this. And those hours are limited to 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on those days. And the noisy hours are even shorter than that at 8 to 4. So is there any, well, I guess we should second, sorry, yes, Commissioner Horn, I jumped right into an explanation.
The second for this letter?
I second.
Okay, Commissioner Duncan seconds. Is there any discussion of this letter?
I have a question. Is this just, are we just doing this for 2025? And they'll have to.
That's all they've requested so far. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they have to request it annually. I don't think that we can give it to them for the length of the project.
I mean, honestly, we used to sometimes do it for 6 months, but then we're always scrambling to have to approve it again, and we've never not approved it.
Yeah, yeah. They requested it for all of 2025, and so that's what I did it for.
Very good. Any other discussion of this? All in favor of this letter? Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ayes. Let me just make sure that no one's here from Bang Bop. Still, no one's here from Bang Bop. Okay, so we're going to pass over that. Can I just ask, do we need to reappoint Marilyn to the Georgetown Community Partnership?
Yes, Commissioner Simkowitz, in the past, was this an annual appointment that you had? I'm happy to.
Well, it wasn't an annual. It was for the term of our commission, and because we're in a new commission year.
Got it.
I thank you very much. I would love to do this, but I still have my conflict with Georgetown. So when that ends, I will let you know, and then I'll make myself available. But thank you for taking over.
Yeah, I am happy to continue serving if nominated.
I nominate you.
I think that we also need to do this for American University then.
That's correct.
The neighborhood partnership there. And Chuck and I both serve on that.
All right. Can we do that? Can we add that?
I think you should do them separately so I can vote on AU.
Oh, good idea.
Because
okay.
I can't vote on Georgetown, obviously.
Okay. All in favor of Maryland Commissioner Nowak for the Georgetown Community Partnership? That's 5, and with one cannot vote, and
one not present.
Yes, and one not present, and for the American University, I nominate Commissioners Duncan and Elkins. Is that correct?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think the AU would probably like us to choose one person, and Mr. Duncan and I have talked about this before. I serve on the management part of the partnership anyway because I chair one of their work groups. That's the way it works. So there's no need for me to be appointed from ANC. So I think it works out nicely that Ms. Duncan and I are not in competition for this honor, and that I nominate that Tricia Duncan be appointed as the official representative of ANC3D on the steering committee of the partnership.
Very good. Are there any competing nominations?
I second the nomination for the record.
Very good. All in favor? Okay, that's 6 votes. So we're going to move to commission business. 2020. We need to confirm the 2025 meeting dates. These were provided. Is it on our website?
Is there any chance we could pull those up so we can have a discussion about the July?
Very good. So these are the proposed meeting dates, and the question really is whether there's a problem meeting on July 2nd because people wanting to go on vacation before the 4th. And was it also a question about September 3rd because of Labor Day?
Yes, I think that is an issue we should raise to make sure people are happy with that.
And do we have any Jewish holidays or other religious celebrations in October?
I checked on that, and I think they begin the day after. Although I suppose maybe I better be careful because maybe, am I correct that it's holiday
October
on Thursday, that the holiday actually begins at dusk on the day before?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay,
October 1st is Erev Yom Kippur.
So that's a problem for us.
I'd also like to point out that we usually approve the January date.
Oh, yes. That's right.
So it's actually
Required to
January,
by statute.
it's January 7th.
Yeah,
Oh.
see that on there.
Okay. All right, so yes, definitely, October 1st is Yom Kippur, so
Yeah.
should we aim that at the following week, October 8th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the July 2nd, I share the concern that that's not a great week, not only for commissioners who may want to travel, but for our neighbors who may want to participate. But rather than just pushing that to the following week, can we perhaps propose that July 2nd become the tentative or, you know, as needed meeting, and we make August 6th the summer meeting?
We could do that. I've got a question. Can we move it to June, to the last week of June? Is that in compliance with our bylaws? Can we have 2 meetings in a month and skip a month? Or because we could do June 4th and then June 28th or something, that might satisfy our meeting requirement and still allow people to go on vacation. Because if we push it to the following week, that would be July 9th or something, people might still be on vacation.
I like,
Given everything I do for the 4th of July, I would just love to just make that the asterisk.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
This summer, that would work better for me.
perhaps with the caveat that if we find that we're really pressed for a meeting and cannot wait until August, that we take Commissioner Simkowitz's idea and meet the last Wednesday in June.
That's a good idea, because then we could just call it as a special meeting. I don't think we have to, you know, stick by our schedule. There's nothing that's, I don't think our bylaws specify it has to be the first Wednesday.
Right.
I like that.
All right. And what about the issue of September? Labor Day is September 1st. I don't know. I don't have a problem with September 3rd because Labor Day is September 1st and I'd have to get back anyway.
I would agree with Commissioner Horn. I don't have a problem with it personally.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Well then, any other comments about this, or should we adopt it as amended?
So just to summarize the amendments, we're looking at moving the asterisk to July 2nd, changing October 1st to the 8th.
Yes.
Are those the only changes?
Yes, I think so.
And can I just clarify, the asterisk means it's skippable?
Yes.
It's as needed.
Okay.
I think that we have taken advantage of the as needed one time and like not done it. We always meet, it seems.
But we have special meetings that are really narrow. They don't have the police report. They don't have the community concern. So it's a half-hour meeting at the most.
Yeah. They're much shorter if we do meet at all.
Well, point of order, we do need to have community concerns at any meeting under the statute for when we meet. So we don't have to have police reports, et cetera, but we do need to have community concerns. That's a statutory requirement.
Correct.
Very good. So I would move the amended meeting dates. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Votes for that. The next point of business is the ANC3D priorities. Commissioner Elkins, are you taking the lead on this?
Yes, I will. Catherine, if you can bring up version 6, if you can find it, it's on the website, I think. But I don't expect us to discuss all these items, but I sent it out earlier to everyone.
Mr. Elkins, I have version 5. Is
Okay.
there a version 6?
There is a version 6. Sorry. Let me see if I've got version 6 here.
Version 5 is on the website. Unless you personally updated it.
I'm sorry, I thought I updated it, but you know.
I mean, if you did it, here, let me look.
Let's see if this is it. Version 6, there we are. The reason I want to bring up version 6 is because there were a few amendments made today in response to comments, which were quite appropriate. Let me start by saying, if there are suggestions by commissioners for further work on this, there's no absolute requirement we adopt these in January. In fact, there's no requirement we adopt any objectives, priorities for ANC. I think this is something only ANC3D does. And they have been very useful, I think, for the Transportation Committee, but I hope also for maybe the rest of our times. Just one last point is that I think for some ANC commissions, they are primarily reactive to whatever happens to come to their agenda. And of course, we have those kinds of situations ourselves.
I think we skipped.
I, for one, and I think many of you join me in this view, that we should be proactive on things that the community really cares about, and we shouldn't wait for these issues necessarily to drop into our lap. So that's what the purpose of these priorities are. Now, I did make some changes. One was here you see in the red. I assume everybody can see my screen. Can you see the red that says with a special focus on?
Yeah.
We can see that.
Okay, so the idea was we have a lot of places in our neighborhood that don't have sidewalks. But quite frankly, they're not going to build them except according to their criteria. But one of their criteria is where people are in danger of being run over. And so that's why I'm suggesting with a special focus on where people are walking in busy streets, we can advocate for all these new sidewalks as we see fit. So that was a suggestion made by one of our constituents. Another one that was made here at the last minute, which I thought was very good from Jack Wells, is that we deal with the fact that people are either building new buildings and taking up space that normally would be where the sidewalk was, or they're changing they're not building a new building, they're just changing public space. And they are building things into public space, which make it very difficult to have a sidewalk. So it basically says that we would urge the DC Council to conduct some oversight hearings, because DDOT is not really doing what they should be doing in terms of protecting public space. Then I think in a separate area down below, we talk about permitting by the two different agencies here, and for the advocated revision to DOB's residential permitting to require that when they're going to have new construction, that they lay out where there would be a sidewalk if the one were to be built, and to not put anything into that area in terms of a permanent structure. So I think this is picking up on an issue actually that Commissioner Duncan has made a theme of her work, among many other things, to try to not have properties make building sidewalks very difficult. And of course, our classic case in front of this commission was on Eskridge Terrace. And let's see if we have another amendment. No, those are the amendments to and also to move the trestle up to under safety improvements for all transportation. It's not just a bike path, it's a path for everybody, pedestrians, but not, of course, automobiles. So I want to propose that we adopt these priorities for 2025 on behalf of the whole commission. But I'm open to the fact that people want to delay it until February and have more time to work on them. That's fine. But for now, I'm moving that we approve these at this meeting.
Second.
Commissioner Duncan seconds. Discussion? I think it's a very impressive document and a lot of work went into it.
I was just going to ask, I certainly, I mean, I've seen the drafts and I know how much work goes into this, even on the transportation committee level, but if something's not, I mean, this is a sort of an ideal set of priorities. It is not, it doesn't mean to exclude anything.
Oh, right. It's not exclusive. It's a way of trying to give some focus to commissioners as we look over the neighborhood and say, what should be working, what should we be working on? They can have some confidence that if they bring an issue within that context before the commission, that there will be a willingness to discuss it and hopefully adopt it.
Okay.
And also to do things, I mean, a lot of work gets done, not, as you know, of course, not just in writing letters, but in advocating and working with departments, et cetera. And that's where I think this commission has made a name for itself, and rightly so. And I think we should continue to do that.
Okay.
We like to look for results as opposed to just looking good.
All right. Thank you for that context.
Any other questions, discussion, or comments? Okay, shall we vote on this? The ANC priorities for 2025. All in favor? 6 votes for. Let's move to the 2025 Go Vocal contract funding. Commissioner Elkins, this is yours as well.
Yes, well, I sent a note around to all the commissioners, but just in brief, we of course have a very good relationship application that we bought this year. It's called District Engage, run by people in Australia. We've made good use of it. I think our constituents have appreciated it, and I would hope we would continue this kind of engagement with our constituents going forward. Once there was some real competition for Go Vocal, which is the predominant application in this field in the United States, they decided to become competitive. Rather than asking for $10,000 for each ANC, they were willing to accept $2,000 from each ANC, provided that at least 3, they wanted 5, but they're now compromised to 5, at least 3 commissions would sign on initially, with the hope that, of course, other ANCs would join. And in fact, I got an email from a new commissioner just yesterday inquiring about the possibility of joining on. So I hope that we'll expand. But the idea would be to sign up 3 ANCs right away. There are candidates. I won't go into detail, but it would be helpful to try to get this off the ground and help our fellow ANCs move forward. For us in February to agree to spend $2,000 ahead of May, which is when our contract runs out with the Australian company, with the thought that Go Vocal would not have our contract essentially start until May, so we'd get a full year's worth of benefit out of the $2,000. What I'm asking for is sort of a vote of general interest and willingness, if everything falls into place, to consider putting in $2,000 in February in order to try to make this possible for our fellow ANCs across the district, so they can also start experiencing the use of this application. And we would, of course, benefit then starting in May. I think both Commissioner Duncan and I believe that Go Vocal is a better application than District Engage. It's very similar, but it has more bells and whistles. So I would ask as a motion today, a vote of general inclination, let's put it that way, to in February, once the contract is before us. I'm not able to show you the contract. It's still under review at OANC. We want to make sure we get their approval. A general inclination that we would be willing to go forward in February with a 2,000 investment and go vocal.
I'll second that.
I have a point of order.
Yes.
I have no objection. Thank you, Commissioner Elkins, for the work that you've done on this with Go Vocal. I have no objection to them. We did already authorize, as part of our annual budget, the purchase of software for engaging our citizens. That is put in the budget already at $4,000. So I think we do not need to approve the budget, but to vote on general support on a change of vendor is probably what we want to do for the record.
Right. And it still needs to be tentative. I thank you for your comment. We need to be tentative because I think it's appropriate for us to have the contract in front of us before we vote to say, yes, we want to do it, because we don't want people coming back later and saying, well, you acted prematurely. But I would like to be able to say to Go Vocal, this commission has no objection to putting money in a few months early if we understand that our contract will run from May 2025 to May 2026, and that we're getting a full year out of it, even though if we're putting our money in February.
I would suggest an alternative solution because in my experience in software sales, I wouldn't accept that deal for revenue recognition issues. But what I would do is say, I will give you a 15-month contract that starts on the date of signature of the contract. So if they push back on starting the clock in May, then say to them, hey, well, I'll sign today, but we need it to run through May of 26.
That's a very helpful comment, because what they've said is, I've asked them if we did sign on in February, could we begin to transfer our district engaged pieces over to Go Vocal? And the answer is, well, we don't normally give you more than a month's time to do that. And I think your 15-month idea actually would allow us much more flexibility to make the transition. I think we will want to undergo the training along with the other ANCs, which would be in the February-March timeframe. So all the more reason that our contract should start in 15 months. So I think they owe us that, because I and also Commissioner Duncan have put into some effort to inform other ANCs about the advantage of this software. So we've done a little marketing for this kind of application, which they should recognize, I think. So thank you for that suggestion. So
question is kind of the sense of the commission that you should go forward with this, understanding that we already have money in the budget and that we're talking about a change of vendor that has to be approved by OANC, and you have to still negotiate it, and the contract has to be acceptable. But the sense of the commission is in favor of you going forward with this.
Right, just one minor correction. OANC does not have the authority to approve the contract, but I'm suggesting that it's unwise for us to move forward without their review. But ultimately we could. We went ahead, we can go ahead. We have authority to contract without review by OANC, but on a contract this complicated, I'm advising it is unwise.
Very good. So all in favor of that? 6 votes for. Okay, let's move to approval of minutes.
Chairman Horn, can I add a little bit of new business to inform the commission of something that we're going to be hopefully taking up? This has to do with the Foundry Branch Trestle Bridge. Georgetown University has convened a group of neighborhood associations from both sides of the bridge. So it was ANC3D, 2E, Palisades Community Association, the FCCA, Georgetown Community Association, I think they go by CAG, and the Georgetown Partnership. And the idea behind this group was to see if we could come up with a collective statement that each of our organizations could vote on in order to try and save the trestle. Commissioner Nowak and I attended the meeting last week, and a statement has been drafted, and I'm going to send it around to the commission so we can all take a look at it. The PCA has sent Nick Keenan. The FCCA sent Conrad DeWitt, and everyone over on the Georgetown side also did. We see this as a way to keep the trestle bridge from being shut down. And the fact that Georgetown convened this, I think, means that they're very serious about getting this thing preserved in such a way that all parties, I think, as one neighborhood representative group of a lot of people, might steer DDOT and WMATA to not tear this bridge down and make some improvements. In addition, there is also a plan that's being cooked up of putting a covered walkway under the bridge so that we can open up the gorge of Glover Archibald Park. And there's pricing out there. An engineer has been made to look at it, and part of that is going to be part of the statement. But I encourage, when the email goes out, for people to read the statement, and it's going to change because there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen on this one. But we would welcome your feedback, and Commissioner Nowak and I we're gonna save this bridge.
Can I just clarify? You said it was done under the auspices of Georgetown University?
They convene the meeting. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, this is big. This is
it's great to hear.
Yeah.
Corey Peterson is still online. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Mr. Peterson was the one who convened the meeting, and we're meeting again to sort of discuss next week. So look for this in your email inbox tomorrow, and I'll have it in a document where you all can put in your comments.
Very good.
Commissioner Elkins?
Commissioner Elkins?
Bringing up new business, I guess I should just warn my colleagues that I've been heavily involved in the project, which I don't think I will be bringing forward for a vote to this commission, but there may be some blowback, so you deserve to be no, because you're associated with me. I've spent the last many months working with 4 individuals whose houses have been severely damaged by construction operations right next door to their house, in which their walls and other common walls and other things have suffered, and they've suffered hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage. And they have decided to speak up to the city council and to DOB and try to get this situation fixed, because this is a systemic problem. You may have noticed that a worker died on December 23rd, working at one of these dangerous situations where they don't brace the houses correctly. They don't take care of the common wall correctly, and something collapsed on him and he died. A fellow commissioner and I wrote a letter to the editor, which got published on Tuesday at the Washington Post. So I am actively out as the consultant, so to speak, acting as a consultant, unpaid, of course, to these 4 individuals. We have a 60-page report. We just finished the executive summary today. We were going to be meeting with the city council, the city council over the next several months to try to bring about reform. There's reform needed at the DOB. There's reform needed at the council level. And not everybody's going to be happy with me, including probably the department director. And so you didn't have anything to do with it. And I'm not bringing you into it, but so you can deny all knowledge of what Commissioner Elkins is doing, but I'm on my crusade. So we're going to stop these fly-by-night developers who cheat. It just happens that they're not cheating the same way that we found here in 3D. They're cheating primarily in other parts of the town where we have townhouses, in particular, or row houses where they have common walls. And you can't just do what you want to a house next to a common wall. I just finished with this idea. There is a house that's between two other houses in this district. Both of the ones on either side have been renovated and been renovated in such a inappropriate way that the person who owns the middle house cannot do anything to his house because his house is holding up the other two houses. So and you think, well, how could that happen in the District of Columbia? How could you do that with the Department of Buildings, which is permitting these things? Well, read my report. I'll send you all a copy of it.
What ward is that in, Commissioner Elkins?
I'm not sure.
But it's not in Ward 3, is it? Okay. This is a problem that I've spoken to you about many, many, many times over many years, and we still have, unfortunately, have these situations go on. And good luck, and I appreciate you doing this.
I am just to one last point. I had been working with the chief of staff to the department to the director. I have met with the director, with these other individuals. This is not a fist fight, but and I think we're all trying to deal in good faith. But that doesn't mean that when the council gets involved that it won't get a little tight. So that's
were these houses did have stop work orders or fines associated with them in the construction?
Yeah, but very, very weak fines. It's just sort of business as usual, go and sin no more kind of stuff.
Were they inspected as part of their approval, when they finished the project?
They're inspected and then the inspectors don't catch it. Their permits were approved. They shouldn't have been approved in some cases. I mean, it's just not right. And there's no one fix. We have 31 recommendations in our report. So what I've brought to this group is, rather than just telling the stories, which they do very well in front of the council about their particular cases, I've said, let's put these stories together and write a report like it were written by the DC auditor, maybe not quite so well, that basically lays out these issues and what the solutions are. There are some practical solutions to this, and we just need to get it done. I hope it may have some good impact on illegal construction in our neighborhood, because I think a lot of their problems is they only have 5 inspectors for illegal construction. You think about that. That includes people who work on Sundays, who get caught working on Sunday. Illegal construction, 5 people for the entire district, not even 1 person per ward. And you wonder why these things happen. So. And we saw what the department did when we complained about the one on Cathedral. Am I getting it right? On Cathedral, they stonewalled us, absolutely stonewalled us, and made us go to the BZA. Cost us a lot of money, even though I don't think. Am I correct? Commissioner Duncan, they have never admitted that they made a mistake, that the DOB made a mistake issuing that permit.
They admitted it by rescinding the permit 3 times.
And tried to get us to give up.
Oh, they still argue that our case is moot because the building permit no longer exists.
This is not a friendly approach to people who bring legitimate complaints. And that's part of our recommendation. They need to change the way in which they react to people who bring legitimate complaints.
Commissioner Singh-Ports?
Commissioner Elkins, I hope that you put in your recommendations a request for significant fines to be assessed both on the illegal contractor and the homeowner, those two, but also assuming that these contractors may not be properly licensed here to begin with, the owners or operators of these companies. Because if you make these penalties so strong that they know if they come into DC and cheat, then they will have to personally be responsible for these fines. I think a lot of these companies will no longer choose to come in and behave poorly and break our laws.
That's going to take some real muscle from the council, but that is part of our recommendation.
And remember, I've seen this. My dad's a lawyer here in DC. I've been started working with him when I was 7 years old. So I've seen this from his law firm going against these contractors for many years. This is not a problem that just started yesterday.
Absolutely, that's right.
And I can't believe that we still have this problem with computers today, that we can figure out who's licensed and who's not. But we call DCRA, or now the Department of Buildings, and we don't get any inspectors to come over. And if you don't catch them in the act, they can't assess fines. And when they do assess fines, they can negotiate them down to next to nothing, as you said. Right. And that cannot continue to go on. And the final thing is, I think we should be involving the Attorney General's office with this, because they're the ones that I think have dropped the ball completely on this issue, because they have the power to stop this and they haven't.
Well, we are recommending bringing them in as well as the Department of Licensing and Consumer Protection, which governs the practice by professionals, and they need to essentially disbar some of these professionals who are cheating. And I give the example, as a lawyer, you appreciate this, the DC Bar disciplines lawyers and in fact publishes in their magazine the offenses of these lawyers. We need to do more of that in this country. Anyway, sorry, I've taken up more time than I should have, Mr. Chairman, but I know this is an area that my fellow commissioners care about, and generally, and I hope that when you hear that Elkins is misbehaving, that you'll say, well, he might have some reason for doing this.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for doing it. We should move to the approval of the minutes. We have the November minutes and the December minutes. Who is making the motion?
I guess I will, as the new secretary. So I move that we approve the minutes for November and December meetings as were published, commissioners, for your review. If anybody has any comments that were not previously provided to Commissioner Davis, I'm happy to take those on as friendly amendments.
Very good. Is there a second? A second, Commissioner Duncan. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes? That's 6 votes for. And I've got nothing else on this agenda. So unless anyone has something.
It's like Commissioner Elkins.
I'm afraid I have one real quick item, and that is, as the new treasurer, I am responsible for making sure that our bank account has the right signatures on it. And let's see, well, we have Mr. Horn is already on it, and Commissioner Duncan is already on it. Commissioner Nowalker is on it. I am not on it, so I will see whether I can get on the signature page and to take did Mr. Davis ever get on the signature page? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we went in with him. Mr. Elkins, I think you may need one of the three of us to go to PNC with you. I think what we found with Mr. Davis is one current signatory was sufficient then to add another.
Okay.
So I'll
I could
leave
do
that in
that.
your hands to investigate the process.
Well,
Um,
I've heard that I can now possibly do this all for us electronically. So
Wow.
without
Yeah.
going in working with PNC. So there's a new person at PNC that does this. So
That would be shocking and
that would
amazing.
be wonderful if we can do it that way. But I agree that we need at least one signatory to verify that this is, plus the minutes, of course.
And Commissioner Elkins, am I correct in understanding that we no longer have to do the security fund process?
That's correct, but I'm not clear what that really means. I suspect it still means we have to submit the signature page to OANC.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it actually saves us much work. It's never been clear to me, but you're correct. We do not have to write a $25 or $50 check to the security fund. That's been abolished.
Yeah, okay.
Can I make a one comment? So, we need to notice the next meeting as one of our official notices. I think our next meeting is February 5th.
February 5th. Very good. So, the next meeting is February 5th and, same time, same place.
Right.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh,
Motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Nowak moves to adjourn. Is there a second? Commissioner Blumenthal is seconds. All in favor of adjourning? 6 votes for adjourning. Thank you
Mr.
so
Chairman.
much.
Good.
Welcome, Mark Blumenthal.
Yes.